And we're live. All right. Welcome you guys to the Dr. G show. Tonight we have Holly 1 and Holly 2. No, that's not true. All right. So last week we talked about, or last 2 weeks, we had Suzanne as a special guest, and we talked about what the actual hell, and talked about how you could just overeat all you want and just get a little drain put in your stomach and squirt that out in the toilet. It's all good. You don't have to worry about anything with that, right? So we went through all those interesting things for the last 2 weeks. In this episode, which is episode 117, we want to talk about
taboo.
What? What are we talking about?
Taboo
Stuff. Sex.
Relationships.
Sexy sex stuff.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about sex, intimacy, and relationships, and how your sex life affects your health. And since, see, Anna knows what we're talking about already. See, everybody can tell by the way that I'm blushing that everybody knows it must be something inappropriate. This is, the only time you'll see me blush, probably. All right. So we have two special guests. We have Malushka, or Sasha Fierce.
No, you can't say that.
Or
that's Beyonce's.
Melanie. Yeah?
Yes.
Samo.
Yes.
Who's one of our wise women, and she's going to be one of our wise women speakers next year when we talk about, what are you talking about? Fierce, strong?
I don't remember
healthy,
at this point.
happy?
I mean, all of the things.
Yours is happy.
Is it happy?
It's happy.
No, that's a good one for me.
And there's Alfredo, who is Marinera's cousin. He's here. Hey, Alfredo.
Hi, Alfredo.
And then we also have Sabrina. And Sabrina, is it Ferrari? Or it's Al Ferrari?
Al Maserati.
Al Maserati, the Maserati family.
You'll
okay.
get it 1 year or you won't.
That's right.
Yeah, that's okay.
So, she actually changed her name to a sports car to try to meet men, right?
Yes, that's... you know me well.
It was just Al, but
Yeah.
it wasn't quite... So, Maserati! It's Maserati! And they're like, oh, hey. So, all right.
It was better than Mazda.
It's true.
True
Al
story.
Mazda.
True story.
Yeah.
All right, so she is a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I want to show you guys what I already know about sex. I've known about this for a long time, and so I drew some pictures for you guys. My knowledge of sex. So we got the birds and the bees, but apparently Sabrina thinks there's more to it. So
I'm a relationship coach.
that's right. So she's a relationship coach. She actually has a practice called Reconnect
Relationship coaching.
Coaching,
Online.
which we'll talk about too. So she helps kind of patients figure out intimacy and clients figure out how to reconnect together, kind of overcome these barriers that we have. As you guys come on, thank you for joining. Make sure that as you guys watch now or even off the air, post your questions. Post the most inappropriate questions you can to see if we can make them choke or blush.
Jim says he never got the talk when he was young, and now he's going to get married in December, and he needs to know all the information.
Jim has like 12 kids, and he still doesn't know what's going on.
I mean,
He doesn't.
Yeah.
And we're here to help.
Right.
none
That's
of
why
us
we're
do.
here. Yeah.
And I have 4 daughters, and it was a blur, so I don't know
How did that happen?
how that happened.
Mm.
I don't know how.
I think I touched a tree during Easter, and I held on to the tree too long, and it started to rain, and then I got pregnant.
This definitely sounds like facts.
So, we're going to go through, hey, there's Newman. We're going to go through a bunch of stuff, topics, but also this is y'all's time to kind of redirect. So if there's things that your parents didn't tell you, you can always ask our resident experts here. But we also want to talk about the health aspects, because with patients for all these years, sex is something I don't really talk a lot about with patients, but it's something that we probably should talk a lot about. And sex is a big part of your emotional health, spiritual health, self-being, all that, which they're going to talk about ad nauseum. So I'm going to let you guys run a little bit, and I'll try to ask questions too. and I'll keep track of our speakers.
Speakers, okay.
Or our,
Yes, do take notes, Jim.
yeah, Jim, you need to take notes and
You
draw
take
some
notes.
pictures, and you'll be tested on this at the very end.
Patrick will pass his pictures on to you.
That's right. We can compare our pictures, Jim. Okay.
His art therapy.
So, I guess one of the first things is, as I wanted to have you on to talk about the sex and the coaching, but then it was just like, I usually talk about other health stuff, so it's just like, So, like one of our first parts of this is talking about the taboo of talking about sex. Is sex taboo? Should couples talk about it? Should people on dates talk about it? Not in the tender kind of way, but well, maybe, I don't know. You guys tell me.
Well, it is taboo.
I would agree it's taboo.
Yeah.
I think as a society we are not open enough about our own sexuality, and then the individuals that we bring into that. We don't talk about it. We avoid it. Then we get into relationships with people, and we're still avoiding it.
Yeah, and our needs aren't met because we
Our
can't
needs are not
communicate
met.
what they even are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times.
I think that if you are going to be comfortable enough with somebody dating or getting to know somebody, I think it's vital to sit there and talk about your basic sexual needs, because we're sexual beings. And I think that, the weird taboos, don't say this, don't do this, women act this way or they don't act that way. Both male and females have a hard time addressing sexuality just within themselves, half less bringing something else or somebody else into the picture. If you cannot sit there and talk about masturbation with a person that you have been intimate with, there's a problem. Because, well, and I think, we've discussed that. I think that if you can't discuss these things, you really shouldn't be doing these things with people. If you shouldn't be sexually intimate with somebody if you can't even say or ask a question. Well, do you masturbate? Or, what you like and what you don't like. So,
Well, there's so many taboo parts to that, because that topic in itself is a taboo topic in most communities, and with the ideologies that we learn from childhood on. I mean, I know that I, for one, thought that was a shameful act, especially as a young woman, and should not be partaking in that. So
that's true. And see, I came from a different family background, so my family was always open about sexuality. They were open about masturbation. They were always talking and wanting me to feel comfortable with myself, so I've kind of passed that on with my children, and letting them be comfortable. But I also know your side, because I have friends and I've had people that I work with that you can even mention sex in the house,
right.
You didn't even mention sex, period. Even when you were married, you were not supposed to discuss it. It was just an act that happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. I think we need to get out there and be expressive so that people don't feel bad about themselves, and that they don't have all these taboos of religious or culture norms that are not benefiting people.
Right,
they're
making it worse.
They're making it worse.
Yeah.
They're harming themselves. They're going and people are going and having sex, but they don't even know why they're having sex.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to be in tune with themselves, and how sad that is.
I think seeking a connection, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. People are using sex to create relationships, but they don't have the relationship to talk about sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where, I think that, for me, working with people, that is very vital when you're in a relationship. Are you able to feel comfortable talking to your partner about sex? How is that done? Is that addressed? Do you feel scared? Do you feel fearful? Do you feel like you're going to be shamed? Because some
The
people,
shame
they
thing is a big
do,
deal.
oh, I shouldn't say this, or this person's going to reject me, and, oh, I don't want this person to leave me, but I'll do all these things even though I don't enjoy them, and I think that's wrong to sit there and be that. I think you need to be open, and especially if you're going to open that side of yourself up, whether you're getting married or you're in a relationship or being intimate with somebody, you need to feel comfortable with yourself alone. If you cannot be comfortable with yourself and expressing your needs and your wants, you should not be with another person at that time. You
So-
need to really address those core issues.
So we talked about the stat that was it 60-something% of women
Oh, it needs to be louder.
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 Can you hear us now?
You guys got to scoot
Like,
up.
it's probably
I guess
we
we'll
need to
scoot
scoot
up.
up.
Yeah.
I just love communication. Thank you.
You know, with sex, they're all back there talking quiet. They're like, it's not taboo. Like, oh my God. So it'd be like, sex!
Okay, what were you saying?
Well, that the vast majority of women that don't, I think it was like 60-something% of women who do not masturbate will not have an orgasm. And so, like, the idea that if you
they
don't
don't know
know how your
themselves.
own body feels and how to bring your own self to pleasure, how can you ever help that other person bring you to pleasure?
Right.
But without that kind of talk and knowledge and that kind of like comfort of being able to
Be
talk about
vulnerable.
masturbation or that it's okay, then you just kind of don't know what the hell you're doing and you don't enjoy it and you have this kind of sexless, unsatisfied life.
Or you turn into, I think, there's all these beautiful steps in relationships, is that you get in and it's all exciting, and then all of a sudden you're not really talking and expressing about your own needs and that other person's needs, and then you're a roommate.
Right.
Right.
You're a roommate because you're not discussing that, or you've avoided the topic altogether of pleasure. And women do that a lot. Women, they'll do things that they don't want to do, or they don't even know how to just bring these things up. And men do that too. So I'm not going to say just women, because a lot of men, they don't even know how to say what they want and what they need in a relationship. And I think, and then that falls back into, if you're not comfortable with yourself, then you're not going to be able to be comfortable with somebody else, and so that's not going to be a mutual energy exchange for one. And then on top of that, that's also going to contribute to you're suppressing yourself, and then that's going to fall into your health issues.
Right.
Right.
So are they loud enough for you guys now? I know I am. Are you guys loud enough? Are they loud enough? On said louder. So On had a question.
Okay.
On had a question earlier about men and dirty talk,
Yes.
or relationships and dirty talk, and I didn't write I just wrote.
What was the question?
What was the question?
I
It was
missed it.
something about is it okay, or do men? I don't know, something about dirty talk, and that's probably something that's interesting too, because one of the jokes is when you get out of a relationship is now this person knows every awful thing, weirdo thing you've said and ever wanted, and like that's the worst thing is when you get a breakup and then at least the comedian says now you have some woman out there that knows you like to be spanked with a G.I. Joe or something like that. And it's
I
just
feel like at that point you just gotta own it.
Yeah, leave that in the past.
Yeah.
And,
You just gotta own that.
So that dirty talk, it's it's hard because if you're not comfortable with saying certain things, then you're like, am I going to get in trouble for this? Is it okay to say that? Is it appropriate to use these kind of words versus these type of words? And so like there's no like manual or like there's no checklist of like, I guess it's probably just talking maybe.
I think that goes back to the taboos as well. I think that, we are taught not to talk about this. We're not taught about our own pleasure. We're not talked to, there's a different aspect of sexuality. There's going to be the playful sexuality. There's going to be the making love, sexuality. There's all different levels, which are very beautiful. And that's where you need to feel comfortable to sit there and say, hey, I need to talk to you about this. There needs to be a safe zone with somebody you're going to go to a different level with.
Yeah.
You need to be able to sit there and say, with no judgment, I need to talk to you. I would like to know you more, and I'm liking these things, and that's coming on that same kind of, you need to be with somebody that's going to enjoy the same aspects of sexual energy. You know what I mean? What if somebody doesn't want to do this or know that? You need to know that so that it's not discussed like, 5 years from now. Well, you never told me that.
Right. You're not responsible for what they didn't tell you.
Yes, you're not. And so, but being able to say, I'm very comfortable to discuss sexuality and my needs and wants with this person, and that's being able to say, let's kind of set this time to sit there and say, without judgment, without taking anything personal, to sit there and say, I like, whatever it may be, You know, I
I'm
don't
sorry,
know about
did
G.
you
I
have
don't
some
know.
examples?
I don't know about
I
the
felt
G.
like you were
I
going
thought
some
the
examples.
G.I. Joe example.
I was like the G.I. Joe.
I was spanked
you know,
with a G.I.
because
Joe.
None of us
Action
want
figure.
to be judged. None of us like to be rejected.
Right.
But also being okay that if that person does do that, should you be with that person? Do you want to be with somebody that's going to make you feel shameful, or you know, that is going to judge you or put you down or put some kind of label on it to make you feel guilty? No, you don't want to exchange that type of thing, and you need to have a different approach and curiosity with people, and especially when you are involving sexuality.
Yeah.
That's a vulnerable part of who we are, and we don't share that with everybody. Some people
We
might,
shouldn't.
but
We
or they
shouldn't.
shouldn't. But I think that, you know, that's very vital to sit there and say, hey, you know what, I'm into whatever fetish or whatever.
I
You
feel
know,
like you're like
comfortable.
missing some examples. Jim,
So-
if you could provide us with some examples, that'd be great.
But I think part of that is being a whole person,
Mhm.
and we've talked about this a lot, being healthy,
Yes.
emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually. It's a big deal. And that a lot of it comes back to self-awareness and mental health. How solid are you inside yourself? Do you feel good about communicating that to
Yes.
your partner? So I think it comes back to that mental health a
That
lot.
whole, yes, the whole
Being
person.
a whole person and allowing your partner to be a whole person and coming together as two whole people. And I'm not seeking all my needs to be met by you, and you're not seeking all your needs to be met by me.
Exactly.
So we can sit together and we can have a communication. And I'm curious to know what you
curious, yeah.
like,
And
and
what you-
excited to learn about you. And
Yes.
it might not be the same thing I like, but I'm not going to be mad at you for what you like, because
No
bring your
judging.
weird.
Yes.
Bring your weird.
Bring
Yeah.
your weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring mine too.
Bring your weird.
Yes.
You bring
Okay.
your Barbie
Yes.
and I'll bring G.I. Joe. I don't
So,
know.
so you guys touched a little bit on like words that are close to like intimacy. So like, what's the difference between sex and intimacy in a relationship? Can it sometimes just be sex without intimacy? Does it always
a
require
balance.
intimacy?
No.
Like, how do you talk to patients about that, or what do you guys talk
So
about?
yes and no.
There's always going to be yes and no with sex and intimacy, because when you're first getting to know somebody, you're not really being intimate with that person. You're sharing, you're kind of reserved, you know, you're exploring, you know, that person.
Exploring, yeah.
And kind of like, you know, what do I really open up? Do I want this person knowing about me? And so sex is going to be, you're not going to share much about yourself. Versus intimacy, you're going to start being touchy and feely, and you want to know more, and curiosity and opening up that vulnerable side of yourself. And then the longer you know somebody and you feel comfortable with that person, it should blend. There should always be that blending in there.
There's a trust and a vulnerability
Yeah.
before all of that weird
Yes.
gets laid on the table.
Yeah, you're not gonna, well, not unless you're one of, hey, I don't judge, but, you know, no judging. But some people, they meet and they know each other, and that's great. Or they know what they're exchanging. But I think when you're going into an intimate part, I think that's going to be more of a commitment part.
Yeah.
This is I'm committed to you. I want to know more about you. Share that with me.
So I
You know,
kind
and
of.
vice versa.
So with like relationships, like everything, it's kind of like your roommates, you're intimate, your roommates, you're intimate. You know, there's like an evolution that constantly goes on.
It's like the housing market, you know, it's always going up and down.
That's
You just have to be committed. And how committed are you?
Right. Well, so like, how are couples supposed to, like, what are ways that, like, I have so many patients where they're been together for a while and they've kind of like lost their little fire. They've been really good roommates, and she took care of the kids, or she worked and he took care of the kids, or then, you know, they're kind of separated, and then the kids go to school, and then they're kind of like roommates, and then they're both focused at work. But at what, they're always wanting to reconnect and to get that intimacy back and that sex back, but they kind of feel like it's gone. Like, how do they reconnect?
I think
The
that,
name of her
you know,
company
my
figures
probably
out.
my well, I come at approach of curiosity on where they're really at. But I think that if two people are committed and they really want something to work, go back to where you started. Always go back to where you started. And so if that's replaying that, that's reliving that, that's playing that back out. Because anything that, you know, we've experienced or been through, whether good or bad, you know, it can be relived, but really you want to bring that fire. And if you have that fire, you can have that again. That's like riding a bike. But you have to have both people. It cannot be one-sided.
Right.
You know, if it's one-sided and somebody doesn't want to do this, or you know, they're complacent, I'm happy the way I am, that goes back to that core self of, do you know yourself? Is this what you're wanting? But it takes two people, and anything can be relearned. Anything can have curiosity, just like we're evolving constantly within our own
I would also
self.
say maybe not even going back to where you were, but start where you're at.
Well, start where you're at, but be playful.
And be
go
playful
date.
and
Go back and say,
Dates.
hey, you know
Date.
what? Remember
Dating,
when
all
we
the time,
went
date.
to
Rhonda, yeah.
Remember when we went, you know, on our first date to Red Lobster and talked for 3 hours? Go do that. Go do fun things that you used to do.
Right.
You know, make it fun, make it exciting. You're creating
Be
your
young again.
relationship
Yeah.
all the time. And I think people should do that daily. I think what happens is that we get so busy with the external world, we forget about the person that we want to spend the rest of our life with.
Right.
We do date
we-
night twice a week.
And I'm, you know, and
Date
that's
night?
Date night.
Mhm.
Like, that everybody
You
knows.
have to block
Kids
out
know
time.
We
Yeah.
have blocked out time on specific nights
Yeah.
that are our nights, and no kids
well, if you
get
ask
to
people, if you
intervene.
ask people, well, if they say, oh, well, I'm so busy, I don't have no time for that whatsoever. We are not intimate. We haven't been intimate. Well,
That's
that's
priorities.
that's where's your priorities? How long were you on Facebook? About 8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were on Facebook
Yeah,
about 8
priorities.
hours, but you
Priorities.
haven't had, you know, you have not been intimate or sexual with the person that you're living with. That
Yeah.
needs to be reevaluated.
Yeah.
I think people should always do that maintenance, weekly or monthly, to reevaluate where their relationship is. You know, what needs to be improved? Are we talking? Do you feel comfortable with where we're at? If not, you go fix that. You go adjust that. There's a solution to that. And if two people can't do that on their own, that's why there's a relationship coach, or that's why there's a therapist, so that they can go address these things and not wait and wait and wait.
Yeah.
If your car light engine comes on, you're not going to sit there and wait 3 years to go fix that. You're not going to get this
Well.
income.
Well, Patrick.
Okay,
So-
I've done that.
So,
But I did that the first marriage round, so
so you know how many times I have patients that they don't date anymore.
that's awful.
They don't date. Almost nobody dates anymore. Like once they're together, it's just we're gonna sacrifice
Netflix
everything
That's-
for the kids,
Not chill.
and they sacrifice everything for the kids, and then there's nothing left.
Do you hand them a divorce card? Like, here's a lawyer, really good.
My answer for everything is get a divorce.
No.
No.
So
No.
it's like, oh, sometimes she snores. Get a divorce. Divorce. No. So
It's
I always
maintenance.
tell them
It's
you
love maintenance.
you
It's
have
intimate
to be
maintenance.
the healthiest and happiest you can be, regardless of him, regardless of the children, regardless of anyone else.
Right.
Because if you're not happy and healthy and balanced, you're not going to be balanced as a couple. And then when your kids look at you, the kids are not looking at how do I exhaust myself as an adult and martyr myself
Oh, no,
and
martyrs.
have a
Ugh,
sex life
martyrs
or
are the
relationship.
worst.
Or are they going to look at you and go like, oh my God, my mom took really good care of herself. They went out on date nights. She went on girls' night out, and they took care of themselves. And when I'm adult,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do, right? We
You
don't
want to set
teach
those,
that.
you want to accept those examples for your children.
Right.
That you have
So
to have your
that's
own
A healthy
autonomy.
sex life.
Yes.
That's
Teaching
right.
your children that we have a healthy sex life. It's not taboo in our house. Like, our children know that sex happens and
Yeah.
it's amazing. And I hope that they one day have amazing sex lives too.
When the incense, they can smell the incense and hear the Barry White down the hallway.
They
They're
just
just
know.
like,
They just know.
oh, baby.
The door shut.
Like, I'm
Door's
gonna-
locked.
Fingers
Don't
on the door.
come
What are you
in
guys
on-
doing in there?
Right? That's more like the dog with his nose under the door.
Oh, goodness.
And that's even true, like, people that, like, get a hotel room,
True.
you know?
That's
I
where
mean,
that's where there's
That's-
playful and fun and
that's fun, too.
curiosity and, like, you know, the thing is that always recreating something that you want.
Yeah.
You
Exciting.
wanna-
Like, if you had a new
exciting.
girlfriend, wouldn't you do all those nice things?
Yes,
Right.
and that means daily.
Like-
You need to date daily. I'm
Yes.
avid of date daily.
So, if you've been married for a long time, get a hotel and have
And
bring
tomorrow,
your weird.
send sexy pics to your spouse.
That's right.
Do it. Send sexy pics to your spouse. Just do it.
Oh, sexy pics to the spouse.
To your spouse.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Right?
I mean, you would if you're dating, so do it for your spouse.
Right.
I say never stop dating. That would be
100%.
my thing. Never ever stop dating.
Right.
Constantly play.
Whatever you
constantly
did
have
to get
fun.
me, you better do to keep me.
Keep
That's
doing
my
that.
rules.
Because, and that's sad because people, they do. Unfortunately, you know, I've been divorced and that stopped. The
Don't
fun
play
stopped.
sexy. Don't play
She asked me what she should do, and I said, get a divorce.
Turns out divorce is terrible.
For a while. And
So
then it's
let's
awesome.
try to
Okay,
have better sex life
however,
instead.
now let's
Okay.
go back if we really know ourselves. And I did not really know myself being married at 18 years old, okay?
Yeah.
So I didn't know myself. I've learned so much from that
Yeah.
time frame to versus this time
In
frame.
the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a relationship coach out there that kind of coached me along to what was healthy and not healthy, big difference. I didn't know the difference.
Rhonda said go on date nights, too. Okay. Uh-oh, that doesn't always work. I tried that recently, LOL.
Definitely get a divorce and
Thomas
try
kept
somebody
working.
else. No.
So-
I'm
Don't get a
just
divorce.
kidding, just kidding.
So, yeah. So that's funny.
But you can,
Rhonda's
okay,
jacking
I'm going to
around.
say that when I was first married years ago, my first marriage, and we were so busy all the time.
Your starter marriage.
My starter marriage, yeah, we all have to have those. I mean, as long as some people make it 50, 60 years, that's fine. I didn't. But I literally would make date night in the house. And so if he worked really late, I know it sounds corny, but I'm kind of corny, but I would literally make a picnic because he was not able to be out in
Aw.
the day, and I would sit there and make a picnic with candles and everything, and I even had the picnic basket.
Oh, nice.
So,
Good, nice
yes,
touch.
and so we had a picnic at 11 o'clock at night when he came home.
Nice.
I mean, there's fun things that you can be creative, you know, to make, quote, date night. Basically, it's time, and it's time to communicate and to touch and to feel and have those,
And be
that
intentional.
alone time. Yes.
Intentional is
So,
Mindful, intentional, yes.
so what do you guys think about, there's like an epidemic, there's actually a new pill for it too that they created for women to have orgasms. It's the pink pill or whatever. But because there's an epidemic now that women don't have orgasms, and like they have never had orgasms. There's a lot of that have never had an orgasm, even though they have sex and they might enjoy it. But then it goes back to the kind of like inherent sexism of, well, it's all in their head, so they're just screwed up in the head kind of thing. But how do women overcome that? Like, what would you suggest for women that don't seem to have orgasms or can't? Are they broken?
Is that possible that they absolutely can't medically?
No.
No.
So
it's all
back in the
gonna
old
be in the
days,
mind.
Then I'm gonna go back to
it was a vibrator
self-care,
for hysteria, right?
right?
So that was a medical procedure,
Medical
think
procedure,
anything-
vibrator.
right?
I
Rhonda?
think anything can be worked through with time and understanding, and that's even with your own self, and that's being okay to say, I'm taking time for myself to discover myself and what I want and what I don't want. And I think that a lot of, you know, women don't take enough time to really figure out their own bodies
Well,
and being
a lot of women
comfortable
weren't
with
given
them.
permission to,
And they
so
were not
we have
given
to change
permission.
those.
But thinking is that, you know, I'm okay, I can please myself, I'm going to explore myself, and leaving the whatever external world and viewpoints, whether it's religion or anything like that, outside. Now we can say the medical part, and we can say all these things. Now, if there's something deeper than that of why they can't do that, then they need to go seek professional help to kind of help them if it's something trauma-wise.
But it can't be the vast majority.
But, you know, no, I think
Right.
that, you know, we live in a society of so much shame and guilt. We have so many things that you have to measure up to as a woman. And if you're young and you're figuring out your sexuality and you're seeing billboards and magazines, those are a contributing factor to your psyche. Everything is going to be mine. Everything. And our
Yeah.
whole
Right.
body is going to be mine. And so if you start off and that's your first, oh, I don't measure up, well, that's going to affect your own sexuality with yourself.
So what
You're
about
not accepting of yourself.
What about self-body shaming
Mhm.
as an inhibitory
Yes.
to the intimacy or orgasm process?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's
a lot in the head.
a
And
lot. It's all mind. Everything is
have-
mind.
outer influence
Mm-hmm.
in our families and our households, and then we grow up and we go into society, and our friends and our clubs that we're in, our religion, our schools.
All that
I mean,
external, the external
everybody
world.
is always contributing, and there just comes a point where you have to go, okay, what do I actually believe? What's actually true? And why am I bothered by feeling physical pleasure? Why do I feel bad about that? Why do
Like
I
you
feel
don't
shame
deserve
about
it.
that? Sometimes it's trauma. Sometimes it's just the voices of, the voice,
Self-doubt,
our outer voices that have become
Not
inner
worthy,
voices. And I feel like that contributes mostly to why women don't orgasm,
Oh, yes.
and why women don't feel like it's okay to explore that with themselves and to have masturbation, use sex toys, talk to their partner about it. Because I know men talk about masturbation, have been talking about it for years. I heard about it all the time growing up. I never heard of a girl
not until
masturbating.
they're adults, because before they're adults, they don't. They don't. That is the most embarrassing thing. They're like, never exists
It didn't
until you
exist.
get older.
That's not
and
true,
then-
though. I heard about it when I was younger, and but I
No,
never
no.
heard of females.
Right.
I never heard of it happening with females, and I specifically remember speaking to my friends who were female about it, and them going, "No, I never do that."
And that's being open. Yeah, and that's also just being open within yourself and really exploring the outside, like you said, basically the external world, and then who am I? Really figuring out the most beautiful thing in life is figuring out who you are, what you like, what you enjoy, what are you listening to as far as your negatives and your positives within yourself, and becoming comfortable with yourself and exploring yourself. I mean, and some people, they figure out at a young age, how their body works, and some people don't figure that out until they're 50, 60 years old. But, it's
That's
okay. What?
I mean, I hope it's still
But
hot.
I think that, I think that everything is mind. Everything is going to be mind.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be exploring self with your mind and being okay, exploring and figuring out how your body works as far as being able to pleasure yourself.
The interesting part is I think that it's probably more mind than physical.
It's complete mind.
So we come back to the full health spectrum. How is sex affecting our health? And it becomes a part of that mental health conversation.
Yeah.
Well, just your physical and your mental.
Well, and even with men, so as men get to a certain point, if they come too fast, or if they can't come, and then they think, well, something's wrong, and then it starts to become this mental, because they're like, oh, men are just physical, right? Like we have no emotions involved in anything, but
Which is not true.
that
That's
becomes
not true.
Not
becomes a very traumatic thing for a lot of guys.
Yes.
Right.
Not me, but other guys.
The myths that we adopt as truths.
So
The
that
norms.
becomes that kind of is it a vascular problem? Is it a neurological problem? Or is it a psych problem? Or, and it's all these kind of complex things. But the reality is it probably just, even for guys, they need to just kind of calm down and just say,
Mental.
what brings me pleasure? Take your time. Do it for the right reasons.
Live in that moment.
So should women then should they fake orgasms? Because I heard
No.
the myth that some women
I don't know. Sometimes
fake orgasms. Is that true?
Sometimes I'm not
Is
against
that real or
it.
not real?
I am a firm believer in no. Do not fake it.
Wait, so
I
is faking
don't-
it real or not real? Because is
No,
that a myth?
no,
Is that a myth?
people really do.
No,
What are you talking
that's
about? Women
not-
do it for years.
I'm just
They've been doing
kidding.
it for years to lie to men. I don't know why. It hurts the next woman. But
Men have
I
sensitive
think, you know what I
egos.
mean? Yeah.
So
They have
listen,
those
you
egos.
guys have been getting a pass for a long time. I feel like we get to nix the lying about orgasms at this point. You guys don't get a pass anymore. Like if you're not giving us orgasms, we're telling you.
Oh yes.
There you go.
You
I think
didn't
that, and that goes back to that. That goes back to that communication of saying, "Hey," any very curiosity. Hey,
All the time.
I am not.
Dang it.
Rhonda says she faked the first time all the time.
We
Like,
all
no.
did, Rhonda. Darn it.
I
Never
I
get-
didn't though.
Wait,
I
Emily
read too many
says-
books.
Never give credit where it isn't due. So,
I read too many books.
if
I
you're
never
not-
did.
She should be at the end.
But
Nope.
But also, I know that for many people, you can have sex and not have an orgasm
Yes,
or
and that's
ejaculate
okay.
and still enjoy
And you can still enjoy that.
the
Yeah.
act of sex.
Yes.
So it's okay if I didn't have an orgasm at the end if that wasn't my goal.
So should guys feel defeated I've heard a lot of guys. No,
That's true, Newman.
should guys feel defeated if they can't bring women to orgasm?
No, you
No.
should be
Can
like,
she-
No,
First of all,
that's
I'm
where
gonna
you're able to
communicate to you
communicate. That is where if you're
how
going to be
I
in
can
bed with
achieve
somebody,
it.
you need to be able to communicate.
Okay, because there was this great little video on Facebook, and it said, ask this woman went around, asked these guys, and she said,
It's on Facebook. It's
how
like
do
this.
you know when sex is over? And so the guy would be like, when I climax?
Right.
Okay, next person. Now, how do you know when sex is over? And when I orgasm? And so what she was trying to,
so that's always the end goal?
the end goal.
No,
So
that should not
So
be
from
always
the
the end
perspective
goal.
of sex, typically sex ends when he has,
That's true.
His orgasm.
Typical.
right?
Typically, yes.
Typical.
It ends when the man has his orgasm, and then we're left going, huh,
Right.
is that it?
So then the pleasure should keep going. So talk about that. So what? Because I don't think they talk about that. I don't think that. I
Okay,
don't think
so
the
let's
guys
talk
that know
about
that.
it.
So basically, like when she goes around asking all these guys, there was only one guy that said something about, well, when we're both satisfied, you know, and that
When
didn't
we're
mean
exhausted.
when there's.
That's the
there you
best.
go.
That's the
So
best.
it wasn't like they both had to achieve orgasm, but they both had to be satisfied at the end
Yes.
with the process. So they both enjoyed maybe so then how do you guys say that as far as like, okay, so if guys think that sex ends when they have the orgasm, what needs to happen after that? Like when does sex end? What do you guys
I feel like that comes to the partnership. So I've had
That's gonna be
different
different.
partnerships. I've
gonna-
had
everything's
that
gonna be different
partnership
now.
where it was when he was done, it was done. Period. The end. And I have an amazing partnership now where there is no selfishness involved. It's how can I pleasure you? How can I pleasure you? We're both, actively seeking to do that for each other. So I
And
feel
that's
like
a
at
beautiful-
that point
that's a
we know
beautiful
it's over when it's over.
Well, that's listening and communicating with your nonverbals.
yes.
Right.
Sorry.
You know, and but being able to, because we're nonverbal creatures. We're constantly communicating without ever saying a word.
Yeah.
But when you're
Right.
not having those, when somebody's not in tune with you, you need to be comfortable enough to say, yeah, we need to talk about this. I'm not happy with what just happened, or could we do this more, or in a very
You probably shouldn't say I'm not
nice-
happy with what happened. Like,
no,
you know what would
because
spice
I think
things up?
people need
Oh,
to know.
I think it's- I
You're
think
gonna
you
break
need to
a
sit there
man's
and
Listen,
tell.
ego.
If you're being real selfish, I'm probably going to call you out.
Oh,
You're
I
gonna
will-
hurt
yeah.
a man's ego.
I will
I don't care
100%
about
call
his
you out so that you
ego.
can become better.
That's right. You want
You're
to
not gonna
improve
grow
the
if I
person.
don't tell you.
Yes, it's growing.
I'm not going to be mean.
You mean other
about it.
guys?
It's like, oh my gosh.
No, listen.
No, I think that's being honest, and that's being honest with yourself and the other person. No, that did not happen the way I want. We need to improve this for the next time. Or
You
no,
like a
I don't like
critique
that.
afterwards?
No, I really think there should be a scorecard.
I just think that,
A scorecard?
So that we can improve every time even better.
What do you guys think about this?
So that's
Yeah,
what
where's
we're
all the
saying.
guys?
That seems harsh. So Newman
What part is
says,
harsh?
Nobody wants to be enjoyed lied to. I
Well,
wouldn't want to be lied to.
no, but you want to have sex and you want to say, oh, this was the beautiful part, or I think that's where it's just like, do this
Well,
to
no,
me,
you
do this
point
to
Oh,
out
me.
you want
good.
positive affirmations.
I think
Oh,
no,
it was
I think
super
pos-
great, except for when you finished and then left me hanging and I wasn't done.
Right? No.
No,
Was that
but
too
no,
forward?
that's okay. No, to say it like after you get done, I'd like it if you pleasured me more, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not done yet.
but not saying.
But if you're a great partner, just because
You're
you're
gonna
done,
be
you
open.
would
You will
not
not take
stop
that
anyway.
personal.
You wouldn't be like, I'm done. Deuces.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
And you're not going to take anything personal if you feel really comfortable
But
with
what
that
about the
person.
guys that just crawl on top, and then roll over and fall
No.
asleep?
If they get more than one shot, you girls are making a mistake.
They would never get
No.
a second or third or fourth.
You should just
Goodbye.
take the foot and just off the bed.
Yes, yes.
That's
Then
selfishness.
we're like, no.
That is
That's
selfishness.
No.
That's
Yeah.
selfishness.
But being intimate and sexual with a person should never be a selfish pleasure. You should sit there and want to please the other person.
So that's the
the
intimacy
goal.
versus the
That is
sex.
your intimacy. That is where I
Mhm.
want to please you. I want to. Doesn't mean you have to have an orgasm or coming. No, it means I want to please that person. I want that person to feel comfortable in my energy, not to sit there and just be like, oh, I'm done with you and go to sleep.
Right.
You know, and then don't ever assume that the other person is okay with what just happened. No. You sit
I mean,
there and
if
say,
you're in
you know,
tune with the situation, you're
You'll
for sure
know.
going to know that your partner is not done.
Yes.
Right.
And
But if that's not going on,
Still
no, that
wants-
needs to be addressed immediately. You don't want to wait 5 and 10 years to sit there and to tell a
No,
therapist or a
immediately.
lawyer, I'm getting, you know, because I've been not happy for 10 years. Have you ever not said anything?
oh my god.
No, I've never said anything. Well, how is that
You're
person supposed to
responsible
know?
for
Then
that
you're
too, then.
responsible for your own.
So how do women then, because I've heard that women...
Through Facebook?
Through Facebook. I've heard that these are not based off my
Real life.
reserve...
Statistics.
no...
Life.
Let's just go with his Facebook.
all right.
We
what's
won't,
that?
yes, we'll,
It's
yeah.
Facebook.
Okay.
What's it
Your
called at the
research?
very end? You know, at like they always have like a critique at the very end, like a form. It's like
Evaluation?
yeah, these are not based on personal evaluations.
Oh, okay.
Post-sexual evaluations.
Okay. Are you blushing? Are you getting really, I mean, is this bothering you?
No.
Can we
Taboo.
talk about this?
You guys.
It's taboo. Oh, we're touching knees. Come back. No, come back.
All right. So, so I have heard that women statistically go through a whole lot of bad sexual experiences in their life. So how do they overcome those things to find the healthy ones?
Okay, wait. When we say bad, do we mean just terrible lovers, or do we mean traumatic
Relationships?
Well,
events?
so not traumatic maybe, but I don't know. I mean, 1 out of 3 women are sexually assaulted. So, like, how do they have a relationship after like crappy lovers, or like selfish lovers, or by traumatic
I think
lovers?
I mean,
that's
I
going
think
to be
that's all
different.
of
That's
it.
going to be different for different people, but I think really kind of coming to terms with yourself and being able to, when you're able to be with another person, to be able to set up the boundaries for yourself
Ooh, boundaries.
so that you don't sit there and reoccur that pattern. And so you don't want to keep meeting people that are unhealthy and toxic, or not good lovers, or you're not able to have a voice. If you're not able to have a voice, again, you should not be having a sexual relationship with somebody. You just should not. You need to be able to say that. But I think that what happens is, you know, you meet people, and let's say you were in a horrible, horrible relationship, your needs were not met inside or outside of bed. Then you meet somebody that is able to really see you and be very patient with you and very understanding with you. Then that's going to also go to the mind. You know, everything's in the mind, so then that's going to open up the whole complete self. And then they'll feel comfortable, and then all of a sudden they're able to please themselves and be pleased by another person.
yeah.
So I also think that when you go into a relationship and you set the precedent for what your expectations are, you have a much higher chance of your needs being met if you're able to communicate that from the beginning. But also on the trauma aspect, you have women who have certain physical touches that trigger memories, things like that, and that takes extensive self-work to overcome those, so that body part can again be a pleasurable spot and instead of a trauma-inducing spot. So when you do have those trauma-inducing spots, it takes self-awareness to know that's a trauma-inducing spot, and that's not my partner hurting me. That's me having something I haven't healed yet, and you have to do, like, it's not your partner's job to heal that for you. It is your job to heal that, and your partner's job to be respectful and supportive while you heal.
Listen and communicate. Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
different aspects of that. I mean, having terrible lovers is terrible, but the trauma aspect is an entirely
That's
different
a totally different,
conversation.
Yeah.
Because
Very
that
well.
there are certain, like, you could just touch somebody on the arm and that could be a trauma spot for them because of something that happened, and so different aspects.
Yeah. So On had a question that was pretty good for women was, are there supplements that help? So a lot of this we're talking about how it affects your health. And so, you know, as you get tired and lethargic and you kind of wear yourself down, what might help get enough energy? Because like some couples are like, we're just both so tired we can't have sex. So a couple things is, one, B vitamins by themselves, like a Country Life coenzyme B complex, a methyl B12. You can abuse the hell out of those, and they will have you feeling great and with no crashing. So B vitamins are a great way to amp up that, to where after the kids, after the dishes, go have your fun. Or there's also just like, let the kids watch a little TV, don't do the dishes, and go have some sex, right? While you have energy.
Right.
While you have energy.
Leave the dishes in the sink.
The other thing is,
The line
just leave the
between
dishes in the
saying-
sink for him to do afterwards, right?
Right.
The other thing is, there's actually a supplement called Horny Goat Weed, which is the most inappropriate sounding name. And I thought literally it has to do with some like thorny goat weed, like a weed, like, you know. But no, it's Chinese herdmen found that when their sheep would feed on this side of the mountain, they would just go crazy on each other. And so they called it horny goat weed. It made the goats horny. And as you know, anything that makes goats horny will make people horny. So it has something in there called Icariin. Icariin.
Nice.
That's like the sweetest thing ever, right? So instead of like Power Glide 4000, enzyme or something, but the Icariin protein there actually helps raise testosterone, and testosterone is your sex drive. And most people get their testosterone exhausted as progesterone, that gets exhausted as cortisol, which is just we spend too many hormones, more than we make, and that's it. And then people end up with hormonal deficit, hormonal exhaustion, and so then of course you have to fix that part to rebuild those accounts. But something like horny goat weed tends to be really well. We had a patient one time that she said that like her sex was like, if he touched her breast, it was like touching the elbow. Like there was just nothing going on there, right? And so I suggested this. I said, nobody ever takes me up on it, so, you can do it or not do it, whatever. And so I talked to her 2 weeks later. I said, so how was it? And she said, she got the tea, and she said 2 cups was way too much.
Wow.
And I was just like, that's amazing. And so again, she met this guy, she was starting a relationship, she wanted to have this intimacy and sex and feelings, but she just, had exhausted herself all through her teenage years in the early 20s to where she just had nothing left. And it just, boom, got her right back on track. Now, that's not the solution to everybody, but that's a really great supplement to kind of get people amped up, but B vitamins will help too.
I think that's a super personal question. When should you leave?
So Calvin says, even if you love your partner, when should you leave? What?
That's a very hard.
Leave after sex or leave for divorce?
Right?
Or
wait, what's happening?
well, what are you talking about there, Cal? Mm-hmm.
We need more
info.
information.
So at what point should you leave money on the side table and just jet? That's when you say, oh, this is really great, baby. What's that out the window? Boom! I know, Calvin.
Breakfast? Go breakfast?
Well, she can make breakfast in the morning and come back. Boo! That's not right.
We're going to
All
shove
right.
you off your chair.
I know. Okay, so Rhonda says, took birth control with testosterone added. Oh my gosh. Had to quit over sex.
That's like your 2 cups of tea.
So that's pretty good there. See? Oh, snap. I
What'd
did
you do?
something wrong here.
You switched
touched-
the direction.
There we are. We're back. I touched the wrong button. It's just like in bed. I keep touching the wrong thing. See?
Oh, Patrick, you just keep throwing yourself under the bus.
I know. So, okay. So yeah, testosterone is sex drive. And power posing, that's one thing. So if women sit like this or cross their legs or cross their arms, they actually raise cortisol, which exhausts their testosterone. If women sit in a power position, stand in power position, kind of like Wonder Woman, Coach, Superman,
Wonderful, that's my favorite.
you actually raise testosterone by 25%, which increases your sex drive.
I'm going to have to be
great.
Wonder
So,
Woman from now on.
When I'm coaching people, I tell them, like women, when I coach them, I tell them, if you're really struggling with self-esteem, do the Wonder Woman pose every day.
That's
and
right.
You stand in the mirror and you look in your own eyes, and it's super awkward and weird, and you say loving things to yourself, and you do it for a few minutes, and then you feel amazing. You go start your day.
Changes their neural pathways.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
and the beauty of that is literally faking it till you're making it works.
It's true.
When it comes
It
to
is
stress, testosterone, if you fake confidence, you
It
actually
doesn't work
raise
in
confidence.
orgasms. It doesn't
sure?
work.
No.
Don't fake
Don't
it. until you
fake
Don't
the
ever
orgasm.
fake an orgasm.
Don't.
Okay.
They'll never know how to do it. If
So
you fake
I
it.
should
right.
not be faking.
No.
No, I gotta stop faking.
No faking
Fake it till you make it.
orgasms.
Orgasm.
Except on orgasms.
Not an
Okay.
orgasm.
No. Clarifying.
No. But do you know that the Buddhists,
The Buddhists.
and Buddha, the Buddhists and the Tibetans, they actually literally sit there and they say they have their little beads and everything, and they actually say 100 times a day they're either happy, they're feeling well, all of the things to change their neural pathways, and they've been doing that for thousands of years.
That's right.
We do
Yes.
108.
Because you have the amygdala
Yes.
pathway.
Yes.
108.
Yes.
Yeah, amygdala pathway,
Yes.
which is fear and anger, versus the frontal lobe, which is keep re-pushing those neural pathways and neuroplasticity to the frontal lobe.
Change
So
that. Yes.
you change who you are, you change how you think, and even about sex. So even if people think a certain way about sex, and that's kind of like, maybe your family
The
shamed you
negative,
about
yes.
sex, and your cousin. So what? So
Left field. Left field.
I can't pull it together for this kind of stuff. So
I know you've been blushing.
I know.
It's okay.
Okay, we're off
All
track.
right.
Okay.
But if you can change and start telling yourself a different dialogue about how you feel about sex, how you feel about your husband or your boyfriend or your wife or girlfriend or both of them,
Focus on the positive aspects.
then you rewire your brain
Correct.
for that positive, and then you don't have to tell yourself that stuff anymore.
Right. So, like
Right.
you were saying, you want positive affirmations in regards to the communication stuff. Oh, Dr. G's a mess. But
I wanna-
I think that that's a great way. So you don't hurt egos when you're talking about sex, because men apparently have very
Always start off with the
egos.
positive.
Men
with a
are
man.
very
Always
fragile
start off
egos.
with the positive. You
All
did
the
really
bravado.
good here, but we need to work on something
Yeah.
here.
All
So
the
that was
bravado
great,
Yeah.
and
is,
that
is
was
because we're
terrible.
sensitive.
Yes.
Let's work on that one.
We're delicate creatures.
Delicate creatures.
So, like, I was gonna spend Halloween with my girlfriend, but instead she wanted to spend it with her husband.
Well,
At least it was communicated.
right.
All right,
Yes,
that's a
it's
bad
healthy
joke.
communication.
You understood it.
I have to
She
say
told
that
it
instead
to
of drug reference.
Yeah,
Usually
no drug reference.
No
Okay.
drug
Not
reference.
tonight.
Not tonight.
All right.
No. No.
So,
This is already a touchy subject.
This
for
is
you.
already taboo.
yeah.
This is all taboo.
What about? Okay, so we have only a few more minutes, and we might have part two. Do you guys want to do part two?
Do you guys want
Part two, we
I
could
would do
probably
part
do
two.
like draw pictures of stuff, and
I mean, you did a great job.
You did an amazing job.
Yeah.
There's affirmation for you. How do you
Right.
feel right now?
I could do role playing with the skeleton, and you guys could coach me through it. Now kiss the
Somebody
skeleton.
did
Yes.
ask about role playing.
I'll do role playing.
Oh,
We can do role playing.
Role playing's fun.
I like role playing.
All right, so one last thing as we finish up here, and then we'll probably have part two for this because we didn't cover half our stuff. What about men feeling the need for sexual obligation when a woman pays for dinner?
Oh, it's crap.
No.
We
No.
are
Or
never
vice
crapping.
versa. Or
No.
vice versa.
No
No.
human is ever obligated to have sex with you for any reason
For
whatsoever.
no reason
Let's
whatsoever.
end all, be
No.
all, the
No.
end. No obligation in sex. Sex is supposed to be amazing.
It's
What
supposed to
if
be
it's-
free
fun and
flowing. It's
reciprocal?
supposed to be beautiful.
What if
It
it's
should
not
never
off the
be
dollar menu?
forced.
Nope.
What if the whole meal is not
No.
off the dollar menu?
No.
You are definitely getting shoved off the chair.
What if it's lobster mac and cheese?
No.
No?
That's a no.
No.
No
So
obligation.
should women have any obligation for sex
No.
whatsoever?
No man, no
No.
woman, nobody
Nobody.
has
I
obligation.
feel like you guys
You're
are very
wrong.
adamant about that.
100%.
No, that's a, yes,
Yeah.
that's awful.
It's reciprocal.
So
It
how?
always should be
Okay.
reciprocal. It always should be free. It should be a
So
free
you're right.
exchange. It should be setting
Consent
the
is
consent.
important.
Oh,
Yeah.
Turns out.
men
Yes,
only
yes.
know. So straight men only understand consent
When they're in a gay bar.
when they're in the gay bar.
Turns out.
Turns out, right? Like, hey, you can't just touch me like that, right?
Oh gosh. So, but no.
I have a story about that. I'll tell you later.
No. I'm curious. I would like to actually, if we're going to do part two, I want to hear, like, we can actually
Ooh.
answer questions next
Yes.
time that people leave.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be
What
good.
are the topics, like the sex topics that people want to know about?
so, yeah. So talk about, so here's some things that you guys can ask questions about too. So a lot of you guys watch this off the air, I know, traders, but
I mean, we're busy at 7 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, some
I mean,
people,
when I'm
Busy
not on
having
the show,
sex.
Some people might
putting
be having,
kids to bed so we can.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Or on a date,
I'll let that slide.
or yoga.
So, the taboo of sex, sex versus intimacy. So these kind of questions for you guys to ask. Hormones and sex, sex in our own health, how sex affects mental or physical
I have a
health.
question for you. Here's a great question.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
Mm.
Okay. Dr. G,
Oh no.
No. What?
I want to know
No.
how orgasms affect our bodies health-wise.
Oh, well, wonderfully.
What do they do?
Yeah, so orgasms produce oxytocin, which is the love hormone, and it boosts our immune system. I mean, touching and hugging builds your immune system. Intimacy things all build your immune system. Sex is actually one of the most de-stressing things you can do. So on the happiness chart of like how much happiness boost you get versus how much time it takes, sex is right here. It actually has that as 12 minutes. That's hopeful. So,
That's awesome.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right.
Did my face say it all?
Yes.
You guys are all horrified, like, ah. So,
12 minutes?
so
12
sex
minutes,
is, I think, I don't know, 12 minutes or 18 minutes. So,
Okay, fine. We'll go with
and
that.
then it
We're in
has
a
one of
hurry.
the highest boosts for happiness and joyfulness. And I always tell patients, sex is very happiness boosting if you do it right.
Yes, if you do it
And
in
that's right.
in a way that doesn't put you at risk for things that cause you stress.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's the other part is making sure that sex is healthy, it is happy, it is mutual, it is fun, it is open and entertaining.
And safe.
And so it
Same.
dramatically improves your immune system, and it impacts how you feel, it impacts your kind of like optimism too. I mean, sex can be horrific for a lot of people, and sex can be the most amazing thing for a lot of people. And, you know, even the idea of like self-value, you know, you really shouldn't value yourself off sex. But when you have sex, it does increase your kind of feeling of self-worth, that you're valuable, that you deserve sexual attention, and you
Because
deserve
you get
to be
to
happy.
enjoy that aspect of yourself that is a sexual being.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So we always say you're biosocial, you're this biosocial,
And it decreases
sorry,
anxiety.
biopsychosocial
and
spiritual being.
depression, too.
But really it should be biopsychosocial sexual spiritual being.
Yeah, we
Like-
talked about
Yes.
that.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
That's where I was remembering that from.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it changes everything. Sex should be a wonderful, loving thing that makes your body and your mind improve each time. So,
Yes. Positive experiences.
Yes.
see, we already inspired on. She said she should, wow, I should have sex more.
Turns out you can.
Yes.
You don't even need a partner. You can just do it with yourself.
That's right. You can even make, yes.
Self-love.
Know yourself, self-love.
O's. All the O's.
Yeah. What if your hand rolls over and falls asleep afterwards? Should you kick the hand out of bed?
Oh.
That
All right, we
means-
went downhill. Now
That
it's time
means
off.
you've done a great job.
That's it, yeah. That means you've exhausted yourself. And your
Exactly.
hand, yes.
See. All right.
And a beautiful exhaustion.
So next week we'll talk more about sex, and we'll try to bring our own personal stories.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we probably need to get permission from
Oh.
people.
I don't know if I could fit both my stories on this piece of paper.
Stop.
Our own personal one.
Wait, I had 4 children, but 2 were twins, so I had sex 3 times. So to me, sex equals babies.
Yeah, that's what it means for a
Yeah.
lot of people.
But
That's
it-
one
this,
of
this
those.
explains a
that's
lot
one
with
of
the
those
dollar
taboo
menu.
things.
You know,
The
this,
dollar
this explains a lot with the dollar
You
menu.
can't have sex unless you're procreating.
Yes.
That's right.
That's a myth in
Another
our
myth.
society.
Another myth.
Which, by the way, for guys, they should get snipped, not the women have their body parts chopped out. And especially like once you're done having babies, the guys should get snipped. It's like an in-office procedure. You just snip, and they don't even like stitch up anymore. Like it's awesome. But you don't want your wife having hormones to mess her up, and then you don't have that who she really is, or chopping out body parts that make hormones.
So you're saying this not from an aspect of women's empowerment. You're saying this from a health aspect, just to
Yes.
clarify.
Yes.
For both, yeah.
I mean,
Women shouldn't be
I'm all
jacking
about
around
it
their
because I'm a
hormones.
woman and I don't
Yeah.
want to do that to my body. But you're saying from a health aspect, if a woman is having her tubes tied, she's going to have more effects hormonally,
Right.
and a man is not.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the funny
That's
thing is for
clarifying.
guys, it's literally in the office. Like you could almost do it at home. It's just snip, pull the tubes out.
Don't
snip,
do
snip,
this at
powder.
home.
No, don't do
please.
this at home.
You
no
can
YouTube.
do it at
don't
home.
YouTube it.
Do it at home.
Don't YouTube it.
You
No,
just
yeah.
download
you
a
can't
YouTube.
even YouTube how to fix your light.
God dang it, that's
That's where he got that dating for the dollar menu, okay?
Called you out.
that's some bull crap. That's not
It's
okay.
dating advice.
I will figure.
But
Mhm.
that's a thing that women had to do all the things all the time at one point in life, and
Mhm.
now we're just saying that women don't have to do it all. Men can do some things too that are very nice, like not having their hormones affected in order to have birth control.
Right. All right. Rhonda said, "Great show."
Thanks, Rhonda.
So
Thank you.
the vodka's out, but not for her. All right. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week. You guys got to leave your comments and questions.
This has been a fun show.
Questions, comments,
Thank you.
concerns.
Concerns.
More concerns for Dr. G now that we know his dating styles.
Dollar menu, y'all.
Dollar
Don't take
bills,
that
y'all.
advice.
Dollar
No.
bill, y'all.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Calvin never answered that question either.
No, it was very personal.
Oh, and which, by the way,
Sorry. I didn't mean to. I apologize.
if you guys want to visit Sabrina's website, it's at reconnectrelationshipcoaching.com.
Yes.
So what do you do again? Okay, and the phone number is 202-5276, and she actually does it through Skype and
For Skyping, yes.
yeah. So that way it's a little bit easier for you, so you don't feel maybe so like it feels better being disconnected a little bit from.
Also pretty
Yeah.
convenient.
It's very convenient.
Super convenient,
Very
yeah.
convenient.
So you can Skype while you drive. So
Well, when children go to bed,
No.
you know, they can sit there and say, hey,
And Skype.
I'm ready.
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. Love you guys.
Nice, Christine. Nice. You see that?
That's right. She knows what's up.
That's what's
All
up.
right. Bye, you guys.